Breaking news! Things are heating up behind the scenes at the Buffalo Bills, and expectations for next season are sky high. Could this be the year the Bills finally win the long-awaited Super Bowl? But before you continue, do the following. Hit the like button right now if you believe this team has what it takes to go far. I honestly am very confident. What about you? If you believe it too, write in the comments, "Go Bills! I believe!" Let's show our support. Put on your Bills cap, wear your favorite jersey, lace up your cleats, and grab your helmet. Now that you're ready to hit the field with us, let's get to the news. The Buffalo Bills have officially made an important decision that will shape their offseason preparations once again. For the 24th time, the team is returning to Rochester for training camp at St. John Fisher University. While some fans have speculated over the years about a possible move back to Buffalo, Bills leadership has made it clear this setup works. Head coach Sean McDermott, general manager Brandon Beane, executive Pete Dwelly, and even quarterback Josh Allen are all strong advocates for holding training camp in Rochester. And why wouldn't they be? The facilities are top-notch, and the atmosphere allows the team to build chemistry in a way that wouldn't be possible if they stayed home. It's close enough to Buffalo to remain convenient, but far enough away to eliminate distractions and create a true training camp environment. Now, there are always whispers about whether this could be the last year in Rochester, especially with the new stadium in Buffalo on the horizon. But for now, the Bills are sticking with what works. Last year, fans got to experience around 10 open practices over a 2.5-week span. That's expected to remain the same this time around, giving Bills Mafia in the Rochester area another opportunity to get up close and personal with their team. But here's the big question. Will there be joint practices this year? We've seen them in the past, like when the Cleveland Browns came to town. Last season, Buffalo traveled to Pittsburgh for sessions with the Steelers. This year, a logical option would be the New York Giants. Think about it. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll both have deep ties to Buffalo. It would make perfect sense for the teams to get together for some work before their preseason matchup. It's not confirmed yet, but it's definitely something to watch. And speaking of preparation, one of the most debated topics right now is Brandon Beane's draft history. He's been calling the shots for 7 years, making 55 total draft picks. But here's something shocking. Under Beane, the Bills have never drafted a single player from Alabama, Michigan, or Ohio State. Not one. It's almost unheard of for an NFL team to completely avoid powerhouse programs like those, yet that's exactly what's happened. Does Beane have a philosophy against drafting from these schools, or is it just a wild coincidence? Diving into Beane's draft classes, his first-rounders have been a mixed bag. Obviously, Josh Allen is the crown jewel of his tenure, and Tremaine Edmonds had a strong run before departing in free agency. Greg Rousseau is emerging as a force, while Ed Oliver has been solid but perhaps not dominant. The jury is still out on Dalton Kincaid and Kaiir Elam, but Elam, in particular, has been underwhelming so far. The second round has also been interesting. James Cook and Osiris Torrance look like home run picks, while A.J. Epineza has been solid, if unspectacular. On the other hand, Cody Ford and Boogie Basham never quite lived up to expectations. Ken Coleman and Cole Bishop are still unknowns, but the Bills are banking on them to contribute early. But here's something really unexpected. Despite having 55 picks, Beane has only taken 3 players in the 4th round. That's it, just 3. And yet, all 3, Taron Johnson, Gabe Davis, and Rackett White, have been solid contributors. Maybe the 4th round is a sweet spot for Beane, and he should look to add more picks in that range. As we inch closer to the NFL draft, these conversations will only intensify. With free agency slowing down, the draft is the next major moment that will shape the 2024 Buffalo Bills. The team still has needs to address, and Beane has shown a willingness to maneuver up and down the board to get his guys. So what do you think, Bills Mafia? Are you happy to see training camp return to Rochester? Do you think the Bills should hold joint practices with the Giants? And what's your take on Beane's draft history? Does he have a blind spot for certain schools, or is it just how the board has fallen over the years? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. With the NFL draft right around the corner, the Buffalo Bills are at a critical juncture. Brandon Beane has built a reputation as a general manager who isn't afraid to take risks, but as we break down his draft history, it's clear that not every move has paid off. Some of his best picks, Josh Allen, Taron Johnson, and Greg Rousseau, have become cornerstones of the franchise. Others, like Kaiir Elam and Boogie Basham, have struggled to find their footing. So what's next for Beane and the Bills in 2024? One thing is certain, Buffalo needs to get this draft right. The AFC is as competitive as ever, and while the Bills have remained among the top teams in the conference, they've fallen short of the ultimate goal, winning a Super Bowl. If they want to change that, this draft class has to deliver. There's been a lot of discussion about Beane's strategy when it comes to draft positioning. Over the past 7 years, he's made a habit of trading up aggressively in the first round when he sees a player he loves. That's exactly what happened with Josh Allen in 2018 and again with Kaiir Elam in 2022. But not all trade-ups have worked out. Elam, for example, has yet to establish himself as a reliable starter, and with the way Buffalo's secondary is shaping up, he could find himself buried on the depth chart again this year. This leads to a big question. Should Beane stay aggressive in moving up, or should he finally start stockpiling picks to add more depth across the roster? One of the most fascinating aspects of Beane's tenure is his approach to specific draft rounds. We already talked about the fact that he's only drafted 3 players in the 4th round over 7 years, which is mind-blowing. But when you look at the later rounds, you see a trend. He's taken a lot of chances in the 5th and 6th rounds, often looking for developmental players. Sometimes, those late-round picks have worked out. Look no further than Matt Milano, who became one of the best linebackers in the NFL after being drafted in the 5th round. But other times, the late-round gambles haven't panned out. Buffalo has spent several late-round picks on offensive linemen over the years, but none have developed into long-term starters. That's something to keep in mind as we analyze what the Bills might do this year. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about how all of this ties into the upcoming season. The Bills are returning to training camp in Rochester for at least one more year, and as we mentioned before, the setup there provides a great environment for team bonding. But it also means that every rookie the Bills draft will have to come in and prove themselves right away in a highly competitive atmosphere. Training camp battles are going to be intense this year, especially in the wide receiver room. With the departure of Gabe Davis, there's a major opportunity for someone to step up alongside Stefon Diggs. Could that be Keon Coleman? The 2nd-round pick has the size and physicality to make an impact early, but as we've seen with previous rookies, nothing is guaranteed. Then there's the offensive line situation. O'Cyrus Torrence was a steal last year in the 2nd round, and he quickly established himself as a key piece of the offensive front. But Buffalo still needs more depth, and many fans are wondering if Beane will use another early pick to shore up protection for Josh Allen. And of course, there's the defense. The Bills' secondary has been one of the strongest units in the NFL over the past few years, but with veterans aging and injuries piling up, it's clear that reinforcements are needed. Could this finally be the year Beane drafts a cornerback or safety from Alabama, Michigan, or Ohio State? History says no, but trends are meant to be broken. At the end of the day, the Bills are in a fascinating position heading into the draft. They're still one of the best teams in the league, but the margin for error is getting smaller. The AFC East is getting tougher, with the Miami Dolphins and New York Jets both making aggressive moves to close the gap. Buffalo can't afford to miss on key draft picks this year, or they risk falling behind. So what's your take? Bills Mafia? Should Beane stay aggressive and trade up for a game-changing player, or should he finally take a more balanced approach and add depth? Which positions do you think need the most attention in this draft? And are you excited to see what Keon Coleman and the other